Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode. I almost said new channel, a new episode.
Welcome to
we,
our YouTube channel.
I know, welcome to our YouTube channel. Come subscribe, like, anyway. But we just wanted to pop on, and it's been a while since we've been just ranting on here, and we just wanted to do some brain dumps today. But before we go into any of that, because we can go on and on, I wanted to introduce our podcast. We are a podcast that covers a variety of topics from faith, enneagram, being a third culture kid, navigating adulting, and just like this episode will be a lot of brain dumps. And so before we get into the meat of this episode, hi, my name is Yehna Kim.
Hi, I'm Jessie, and welcome to our 16th episode of
At
At the
the
Table.
table.
Yeah, we are back to back with an episode because this is something that Yenna and I have been talking about in person over and over again.
So true.
And it's just been on our hearts lately. So this will be like a TCK rant, um, or maybe an MK rant. I'm sure because the thing is, I think it can be like an MKTK PK rant, but
So
also
true.
anyone that's like going through a different life stage. Maybe you're
Right.
retiring, maybe you're changing careers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that all I feel like can relate to what we're going to share. But
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we've been wrestling with and talking about is our TCK background and its relevancy and what does it mean to us now as we're building roots in our perspective or sorry, in our respective places.
Yes.
So I can kind of start us off and then Yana, you can add whatever you're feeling like adding. But lately I've been realizing as I meet more people that are non-TCK that I'm excited to invest in, uh, I'm starting to realize that a lot of my TCK background is something that I want to share and I'm excited to share, but there's a fear or like this hesitancy in the back of my mind of like, oh, this won't be as crucial of a point in our relationship, or this is not something that we will connect over. And I'm so used to connecting over
Mm,
my TCK background because I
so
have a
true.
lot of TCK friends in my life currently.
Yeah.
But as I meet new people, I'm starting to think like, okay, this still matters to me and I still want to express it in this relationship. It's kind of like
Mm,
mourning over that, oh, I'm so used to connecting over this and I just probably
yeah.
won't as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of sheds light to me not wanting to let go. And the thing is, I don't think we should let go of our TCK background and who we are, but it's becoming less relevant. And I feel like that's why I'm really wanting to do this podcast with Yana because it helps me remember where I come from and
Right.
all these conversations that I've been wrestling
Mm,
with my whole life. Like this gives me a platform to express that. But yeah, that's just something that I've been thinking about and needed to
mm-hmm.
rant about. Because when you think about it, like even like let's talk about like MJ, for example, Michael Jordan, like when he retired, he probably was thinking like, what does basketball mean to me now? How much do I incorporate that into my life? Who am I without basketball? I'm sure he went through all of those questions, and that's the same for anyone going through a different life stage. I think my thing is like, I don't want being a missionary kid and being a third culture kid to just be a part of my past. Like I want
Right.
it to be
Oh,
a part of
same.
who I am forever. And like, how do you balance that? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yana, hop onto this. What you feel about this? Because we've been talking about this a lot.
Right.
Where are you at with that now?
Honestly, still so many questions that float in my mind because, like you said, I'm meeting new people too, and starting to talk even just with my coworkers, thinking this
Mm-hmm.
is almost never a topic of choice. Not because like I'm trying to hide anything; it's just
Right.
life goes on, and but then I also have to think there's so many things that we talk about that would probably not affect any other individual, but it triggers certain things in me, whether it's negative or positive experiences. And I have to
Mhm.
always remind myself this is not that deep, but it also does affect me. So I don't want to not talk about it and just like wrestling with, oh wow, my past does matter and it has impacted me to this point and it has built me and has formed
Mhm.
me and formed my ideas and beliefs and values. But then it also, I don't want to ever overwhelm a conversation to a point where someone who doesn't have like my commonality to feel like, oh, what the heck, why is she always only talking about this? So just
Mm-hmm.
finding the balance between, like you said, not losing my identity and my story and just the things that I've come to cherish, but also learning to move forward from all that I've learned is
Mm-hmm.
very interesting because I know that as I move forward and and just in the future whenever I do meet anyone and these things get serious, I'm just thinking, how do I bring up these conversations and thinking,
Mm-hmm.
I know this might not seem important. I'm seeing it how it affects how I think about certain things and my world perspective and my world views. And anyway, I really don't have an
Right.
answer to any of this, but just
No,
it's
you
on my
don't.
mind. It's crazy what
Yeah.
how far we've come in life, and I want to celebrate that, but also, like you said, kind of not grieving. That's kind of serious, but almost kind of grieving this, like, wow, this is not. I don't want to say not relevant, but almost not relevant to where we're at in our stage of life,
Mm-hmm.
despite
Mm-hmm.
our podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna share like being a DCK, it's a whole new cult, it's another culture within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to my other TCK friend and he's like, honestly, I like left that long time ago. Like it doesn't take me a second thought to like let that go. It's just so there's that perspective too of
Right.
like, no, like I'm just gonna kind of blend in with whatever community I'm in and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't I don't really think much about it. And
Mm.
that's great, right? Because you're
Right.
able to be fully present and expressive in within that community or that group of people that you're a part of. But it's that whole culture. I mean, this is another stereotype, so it might not apply to everyone, but I
Mm-hmm.
was having a discussion about like when you're TCK, MK, or even PK, you talk about kind of the serious stuff first. Like
Mm.
you can pretty much have like deep conversations off the bat with anyone from the get-go. Then people don't realize is like when you're actually really comfortable with that person, you talk about random stuff about your life. You're talking about
Yeah.
like things that don't really matter, but
No.
that's the opposite for most people. They talk about
Mm-hmm.
random stuff, they keep it light, but then when they're really comfortable, they'll share deep stuff. And it's the opposite, at least for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
gotta know that I can trust this person, that I can that this person is legit and not gonna like flake on
Right.
me.
Like you
Then
can
I
goof
can share
around.
about my goofy random, like I can
Mm-hmm.
be more expressive. How is that for you, Anna?
Same. I think I find myself, even though I walk around with a wall, but that's come down a lot. I
Mm-hmm,
really am proud of
mm-hmm,
that, but I do go deep really quickly, or I don't engage at all
mm,
because I don't know how to meet them in the middle with certain conversations. But now that I've like learned certain things, now I'm in this space where I'm like, I do want to share my story. I also don't want to, it's kind of awkward. Like we've come to a point where we're okay with the surface
mm-hmm,
level conversations and just trying to meet them in the middle. And I think for me, big emotions are always scary for me because
mm-hmm,
even an idea of someone leaving or potential change is a triggering point for me. And then having to process certain things like that is just, I don't know. I really don't have the answer. It's just like for me it's
yeah,
such a heavy thing for me to this day. Like it's going on real time for me right now. And so
yeah, same.
just wrestling with this idea of, wow, Hannah Kim, you are still a TCK, or K is kind of still now an A, but like
Mm-hmm,
just working through how I don't want it to be a permanent thing and that my past follows me like that, but my identity, I want to preserve that. And so
mm-hmm,
finding the balance between working through the past but preserving your identity and moving forward
mm-hmm.
has definitely been a difficult question to wrestle with.
Yeah. Again, like we don't have the answers. And I think that's why I'm starting not to become desperate, but like I'm like, I was panicking last
Mm,
year because I'm like, oh my gosh, Japan isn't going to be a part of my life as much as I thought it would be. What
yeah.
does that mean? And so I started to look for a Japanese church, thinking, oh, maybe that's something that I need to
Mm-hmm.
have in my life. I mean, I am a part of something new, which is the Japanese community, young adults community, and like that's my one connection to home. Yay,
It's
go
so
me.
true.
but it's like, man, Jess, you're speaking the language less and less. Like
Mm.
you're not around conversations of home as much anymore. And like that definition of home too, like I thought, oh,
Oh
home
yeah.
will always be where I grew up. And I'm like, no, home is looking like somewhere else. And I
Yeah.
think a part of me is like, no, 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 no. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm clenching those my past and
Same.
my who I am so tightly. And like God's just like slowly making me let go of
Mm,
those fists. So it's just
I know.
it's a weird place to be in. And my heart is still catching up to the reality of it.
Yeah. Can I add to that? Like
Yeah.
you're talking about home. Like recently, I think you might have seen it, but we were sent a picture, like a painting recently as a gift to our family of our home
Mm.
back in
Mm-hmm.
2003.
Oh.
And I'm not gonna lie, I sobbed for like 30
Mm-hmm.
minutes because I was like, whoa. It just like
Mm.
hit me just the detail of it and everything. And I'm thinking, this is home. But then I had to still live on like my life in
Mm-hmm.
America. And so I said America so weirdly. But anyway, I'm thinking, but I do want to like settle down. What does that mean for me? What does settling down mean? Is that a location? Is that a person? Is that like,
Right.
is that
Right.
I'm like, what does settling down mean? It just is such a foreign concept for me. Because for me, even though I'm
Yep.
here and
Mm-hmm.
don't have any immediate plans for the future, like when I was in Illinois, I knew I wanted to move. Like I had a
Right. Right.
plan. Now that
Right.
I'm here with family, I'm thinking, I don't know, what does my future look like? I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, is that going to be a certain different location, or am I going to stay here? Or it's just, what? Oh
Yeah.
man.
And the thing is, I'm sure everyone feels that too,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're TCK or not, but it's like we feel it probably like times a million because everything was very much structured or like just
Like
planned,
fluid.
mapped out
Yeah.
for us, or
Mm-hmm.
it was always maybe a location, or for Yana, it was people, or and
Mm-hmm.
there's just no stability or consistency. And
Mm-hmm.
finally experiencing stability and consistency, whether that's in a person or a place
Right.
kind of at least freaks me out.
It does. It does. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I feel bad because it's nobody's fault. It's
Right,
I'm
right,
not
right.
trying to put blame. It's like what we're used to is what we're used to. And now that we are
Mm-hmm.
having to get used to someone else or something else or someplace else, it's like, oh, we're trying to work through it together. And it's, I don't know. It's just because it's such a self journey, but it's also such a communal journey. And so trying to,
Yes,
yeah.
totally. So conclusion is basically if you meet Yena and I in person and you want to develop a relationship with us, give us like give
Yes.
us 6 months. Actually, no, give us a year or two to warm up to you and
It's so
actually
true.
open up to you.
But hey, we do a really good job in inviting you in. Maybe we might not keep you in.
Oof,
Okay. I'm
oof.
just kidding.
That's
Take
not
that
me.
back.
That's not
I
me,
take that
guys.
back. I
That's
take
just
that
Yena.
back. I take that back. Do I? Just kidding.
What? Just kidding.
That's a part two of
Ooh,
community.
ooh. No, yeah. And I would ask you guys too of like, if you're not on TCK, like, what are some things in your life that you're having to let go of that's been a huge
Mm,
part of maybe you've lost your dad and it's letting go of your dad. And I
mm,
mean, I can't even
yeah.
imagine that, but it's like
No.
maybe it's letting go of a person that was in your past.
Yeah.
Maybe it's letting go of what home meant to you. Maybe
Mm,
it's letting go of a career. Maybe basketball was your whole life and now it isn't anymore. Like, what does
mm,
that look like now? Maybe, I don't know. There's a million things. Like, it's just everyone goes through that, whatever life
mm-hmm,
stage they move into. Um,
mm-hmm.
they're wrestling with
Yeah.
like, what do I carry on? Right.
Yeah.
So I would ask you guys and challenge you guys, like, what's something that you're having a hard time letting go of? What's
Mm,
something that you want to carry into this new stage of your life?
mm.
Or, yeah, how do you find the balance of it all? Because Yana and I are still wrestling and we'll continue to wrestle with this
Yeah.
as we maybe find someone or settle down in a different place or change our jobs. Like, this is something that we'll always have to ask ourselves. So,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I was gonna
It's
add too. Oh, sorry.
no,
Like
keep going.
if we ever leave SPED, I
Ooh.
don't I I've thought about it recently, but I do not know how I will feel.
I
Like, is
know.
that just going to be a part of my past? And whoop,
That is
whoop,
so weird.
that
I
was a good
never
4
thought
years.
about it like
Bye.
that. I never
Or
thought about that.
right?
Yeah. Because
Anyway, I'm
I
not
always
ready for
talk of
that,
I always
but
talk about it, but I don't know what I would be like if I actually did it.
yeah, because it's not just a job for us. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's become like a lot of who it's
We
shaped us, who we
yeah.
are.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add to the spud part? I mean, I wasn't planning on bringing that up, but
No, I
that's what I think
because
about because it's not our
it's so
forever
true.
career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I talk like my poor family. My meals with my family is the conversation is surrounded by around my students and just my
I
heartache
love
for
that.
my students or just like all the silly
Mhm.
things that I've done with my students and whew, I'm not a mom, but it feels like I'm raising kids. So
Yeah.
I don't even know where I would begin with processing all of that. So
Yeah.
interesting.
We'll cross that bridge when we get
To
there, but
be
to be
continued.
continued. Yeah. Oh, lots of thoughts.
Lots of thoughts. It's weird kind of ending this podcast with a big, big question mark or a dot, dot, dot.
Yep.
But
Yep.
no, thank you for just listening to our rants. And I really hope that this serves as a reminder that, guys, we're learning. We're always learning. And we're always learning to take in new things, but also letting go of old things. And definitely challenging, but trying to remember that there's beauty in letting go.
There's
And
new
you
beginnings.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much for joining our dumps as always. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please follow our YouTube, subscribe to that, and come to our Instagram to get all the new news. And honestly, thank you for everyone who are new listeners and new followers. We really appreciate the love and support that you all have been showing us and telling us that you've been encouraged by our messages. And really, that means so much to us. Catch you all on Spotify and catch you on a new episode. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.